Brothers and sisters, I'm pro-life leader Frank Pavone, director of Priests for Life, and I want to greet all my fellow pro-lifers in the Commonwealth of Virginia as you march for life today. God bless you as you do so. You know, in my work with Priests for Life, I have been all over Virginia for so many years. In fact, for 3.5 decades, being with you, standing with you, praying with you at abortion mills, preaching in churches, responding to the invitations from both the Diocese of Arlington and the Diocese of Richmond. So many great church leaders, so many great pro-life organizations, our Rachel's Vineyard activities, our Silent No More campaign, all of the activities of the family of ministries of Priests for Life, and some of our local offices are located in Virginia. We have had such a tremendous relationship over all these years, and I wanted to send this message of greeting to you today, an encouragement as you march and as you take up a fresh commitment to the pro-life cause for this year 2025, because the Commonwealth of Virginia has a critical mission this year. And we want to talk about that and offer you some resources and assistance in achieving that. First, I want to give a shout out to your governor, Glenn Youngkin. I was privileged to hear him speak at a gathering just recently, and of course your Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, whom I've had the privilege of knowing for years and being with on so many occasions. God bless you both, give you his protection, his wisdom, his vision, and the strength to carry out his will for your life. Thank you for your service to Virginia and to this nation. Brothers and sisters, it is time to claim the Commonwealth of Virginia for life. Grave threats to the unborn, to their moms, dads, and families loom on the horizon. You are very familiar with this already, and I want you to know that we're working side by side with you to stop those threats. What are we talking about in particular? We know that in various states over the last several years, these constitutional amendments have been introduced, and we in our ministry have worked with the leaders in all the other states that have faced these battles, and there have been some victories, including at my home state here in Florida. And there have been many, many instances, unfortunately, where state constitutions have been marred, they have been disfigured, they have been damaged by the imposition of a right that has never been recognized in the history of any state constitution or our federal constitution before, until these current days when abortion is more celebrated than ever. The Dobbs decision made that very clear. There is no right to abortion recognized in our constitutional history, either at the federal or state level. And yet, just as in so many of these other states, this tragedy has happened, where some kind of fake, invented constitutional right to abortion has been imposed, so the abortion advocates, so Democrats in Virginia, in the legislature and in the advocacy groups want this to happen to you. They want to do this to the Virginia Constitution. And you know that they have already taken steps in this current legislative session to make that happen. But fortunately, the process requires that it be done successfully again after this year's elections, when you will elect a new House of Delegates and go through the legislative approval process again in 2026 before such an amendment proposal can be presented to the voters on the ballot. Bottom line being that you have the chance to stop this before it gets on the ballot, and I'm sure that many of the discussions at the March for Life will be precisely around this topic. I want to give you a perspective on this from my vantage point, working with the whole country against these kinds of amendments. And let's make it very simple and clear. This is not a sign of the strength of the pro-abortion movement when they propose and successfully pass these amendments. It's a sign of their weakness. It's a sign that they're afraid of you. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of our movement. What do I mean? Because if you place in a in the Constitution the so-called right to abortion, and it's phrased in different ways: right to reproductive freedom, including abortion. Some of these amendments outright say right to abortion. Whatever way you phrase it, by putting it in the Constitution, of course, the primary objective and the primary result of this is that we, the people, can no longer protect the unborn, that we, the people, and our elected representatives, in other words, those whom the Supreme Court put the abortion policy making power back through the Dobbs decision, cannot indeed have or exercise that power anymore, because any action of a legislature or a governor or a government agency or a lower court has to conform to the Constitution. They're doing this because they're afraid of you and me. They're afraid of our movement. They're afraid of the persuasive force of our arguments, which, when presented to an open-minded electorate, cause them to choose life. They're afraid, in other words, that as our movement continues to grow in strength in Virginia and throughout the country, that we are, in fact, now with the open door that Dobbs has given us, going to pass more pro-life policies, that we're going to expand, as so many states are doing, the protection of the unborn, that we're going to expose the harm abortion does to women and put more protections in place for them. They're afraid, so afraid of that they don't even want to let us have the chance to try. That's what these constitutional amendments are all about. Take it as a compliment, take it as an acknowledgement on the part of the pro-abortion movement that they no longer have any persuasive message. You see, for decades they were hiding behind the robes of the Supreme Court justices. Oh, well, it's a constitutional right. You can't pass any laws that actually protect the unborn. But now that the Supreme Court has admitted its error and said there isn't nor was there ever a constitutional right to abortion, they have to somehow find something to hide behind, because they can't just come out and defend abortion. They've always lost with that. They can't justify it. They don't even want to talk about it. You know, when the Democrats put abortion front and center as an issue, I say to them, well, why don't you describe what you defend? That's what they don't do. They pretend to be putting abortion front and center as an issue, but they actually aren't, because that's the last thing they talk about. They want to talk about constitutional rights. They want to talk about health care. They don't want to talk about abortion. Brothers and sisters, that's why they do this. Furthermore, they do it for the same reason that in Virginia, after the 2019 Virginia elections and the Democrat trifecta that then prevailed for 2 years, you ended up with this disastrous Reproductive Health Protection Act. The law does no such thing. The law protects the abortion industry because, as you know, one of the things it did was to take away helpful information from women considering abortion. Taking away helpful information provided by ultrasound, taking away helpful information provided to inform their consent, to increase their freedom. And meanwhile, they claim to be protecting reproductive health, when in fact all they're doing is protecting the profits of an abortion industry that benefits all the more if people getting abortions have all the less information about who that baby is, about what the procedure entails, about what the alternatives are, about what the after effects are. The pro-abortion people want to pass this constitutional amendment for the very same reason that the pro-abortion legislators wanted to pass and did pass the Reproductive Health Protection Act. More abortions. Let's have more abortions by providing less information, less regulation, less obstacles in the way of the procedure. Practically speaking, you have the opportunity to do this by saving your House of Delegates from the Democrat Party. That is a key goal for the pro-life movement in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Sure, we have to develop the arguments and the talking points and help people to understand how disastrous a constitutional amendment would be, proclaiming a right to abortion. But brothers and sisters, it's not only a question of the messaging, it's a question of the mechanics, getting out the vote. Getting out the vote and working on that starting today and making that a key priority, that we identify every person who is not registered to vote, who shares our convictions, and we get them registered to vote starting now. That we get every possible piece of information about the candidates who will be running and then accentuate the differences. You know, the Democrat Party is suffering from a terrible, terrible low, terrible for them, good for the rest of America, in their reputation, in their brand, in their message, in their leadership. They are like a rudderless ship. They have no identifiable leader, and they double down on positions that the American people overwhelmingly reject. This is an excellent time for us to have strong confidence that we can reclaim the House of Delegates in Virginia for pro-life Republican leadership. Why am I confident about that? Well, because of what I just said, because we have these extra motives now when it comes to the danger of this constitutional amendment, because we have, in fact, an unprecedented moment in American history where the Democrats have shown their true colors. And this is a party, like Mark Levin's book says, titled "The Democrat Party Hates America." We have an historic opportunity here. You know, as you look at Virginia politics over the last several elections, it's been a seesaw, hasn't it? In 2017, in your election, the House went Republican, as it had been doing since 1999. But then, what happened in 2019? It went Democrat. What happened 2 years later? It went back Republican. What happened 2 years after that? It went back Democrat. And now we come to 2025. Of course we can put it back Republican. As you know, the margin is as razor thin as it gets. Let's do it. Let's focus concretely and specifically, and our team indeed will be working with all of you to accomplish that goal. Of course it's doable, and of course it's more urgent than ever. As we do this, we mobilize the voters. You know, I don't care if somebody votes for a Republican candidate because they like the color of his hair or the color of his tie. The point of the mechanics of an election and getting out the vote is something that transcends and goes far beyond the dynamics of getting exactly the right and most persuasive message on our issue of abortion. And we've got to have these things working together. Yes, we develop the best messaging, and I'm going to give you some aspects of that right now. But yes, indeed, we develop the best mechanics. And it means starting now, mobilizing, organizing, registering voters, and then having a plan whereby we are going to get people out to vote, both in the June 17th primary and in the November 4th general. And brothers and sisters, we have the opportunity to do exactly what I'm saying. When it comes to a primary, you know, the voters that are activated to vote on June 17th, perhaps they hadn't voted before, perhaps they weren't registered before, perhaps they were now newly motivated, maybe by the abortion issue. Now they're activated. The challenge is bigger to get them from being non-activated to being activated than it is to get them voting again a few months later. Once they have come out of that comfort zone, once they have broken that inertia, once they have come back out, if you will, into active participation in politics, well, then it's much easier and much more likely then for them to be ready for the general election in November. What is at stake here with these constitutional amendments is the danger of having unlimited late-term abortion, far more dangerous than abortion in the earlier term, and far more horrifying to the public, which is why when we're trying to convince the American people to reject abortion, we start with what is more obvious and go to what is less. You start with exposing the late-term abortion. It's common sense. Most Americans are already with us that a baby in the 6th month should not be aborted. A baby, especially who is healthy, being carried by a healthy mother. And one of the ways we can help rattle the consciences and awaken the consciences of people that this is happening is through a late-term abortion project that we've initiated and that we invite all of you to take part in. And it can be found at lateabortion.org. Lateabortion.org, our Priests for Life project, includes phone calls that were made to abortion facilities that perform abortions in the 2nd and even 3rd trimester. Let me read for you 2 of the transcripts of some of these calls, and you can get all this information right there at that lateabortion.org website. The Richmond Medical Center in Virginia. Richmond Medical Center, may I help you? Yeah, I was wondering how far into the pregnancy you guys offer abortion services. How far along pregnant are you? I'm 20 weeks. We do them up to 20 weeks, and it's $1,700. Okay, let's see. So I was wondering, since I'm 20 weeks, and I'm healthy, there's nothing wrong with the baby either, I just don't want to continue the pregnancy, that's legal in Virginia, right? Or are there any restrictions? And the response, no, it's legal. Okay, the caller said. Now, this was a caller that we commissioned to call and say that she wanted a late-term abortion. You notice, she said she's healthy, the baby's healthy, 20 weeks. Oh, yeah, of course, it's legal. Come in and do it. An even more startling example, how about someone who's 30 weeks? This was a call to Warren Hearn in Boulder, Colorado, and of course Virginians have to ask themselves, is this the kind of thing, what you're about to hear, that we want happening in our Commonwealth? Caller says, yes, I want to schedule an abortion appointment. Clinic, okay, do you know how far along you are in your pregnancy? Caller, just around 30 weeks. Clinic, well, when did you find out that you were pregnant? The caller, well, I found out a couple of months into the pregnancy, so I've known about it for a while. I've been going through the appointments and everything, but my husband and I just split up, and I just don't want to continue the pregnancy now. And the respondent at the clinic says, yeah, the doctor said, this is after checking then with the abortionist, the doctor said he would see you on the 28th. The caller said, okay. And the clinic said, and it looks like you'll probably be about 32 weeks at that time, so the fee would likely either be $17,500 or $25,000. "32 weeks into the pregnancy, healthy baby, healthy mother." That's what the voters of Virginia will be opening the door to come November if they elect Democrats to the House of Delegates. That will be the result. What will also be the result? Besides lateabortion.org, I offer you the resources of our Silent No More campaign. It's already active in Virginia. Those that have had abortions and share their stories. And brothers and sisters, if you go to abortiontestimonies.com, you can hear their voices. You can share their voices. Abortiontestimonies.com is a powerful source of witness, a powerful emotional impact of truth. Irene, for example, one of our coordinators for the Silent No More campaign, speaks about her late-term abortion and how when she held that baby, the abortion facility allowed her to make an imprint of the footprint of her aborted baby. She held her baby, she was apologizing to her baby, but now that footprint is on a shirt that she wears. And not only that she wears, but that her parents wear as they mourn the death of their grandchild, and that her other children wear as they mourn the death of their sibling. This whole family, Irene's family, mourns that aborted baby. This late-term abortion that she had is a weight she carries throughout her life, and obviously you know as well as I. And we see them in our Silent No More campaign and also in Rachel's Vineyard, which is the largest ministry in the world for healing after abortion and is a ministry of Priests for Life, so I'm privileged to be its pastoral director. And I thank all those in Virginia who help with Rachel's Vineyard. We see it and we hear it and we know it every day. The burden that is carried by these brothers and sisters of ours throughout life. This is what we can prevent. This is what's on the ballot. This is the fork in the road. Will we reclaim this commonwealth for common sense? Will we reclaim this commonwealth for life? Will we prevent the disaster that led to that Reproductive Health Protection Act after the election of 2019? Prevent that disaster of a Democrat trifecta. Brothers and sisters, a Democrat trifecta is an abortion nightmare. It is unlimited abortion, locked into the Constitution. Again, because they're scared of you. They're scared of us. They're scared of the pro-life movement. They don't want us to have the opportunity to pass stronger pro-life laws, because they know if we have that opportunity, we will succeed. Let's think bold and big that not only will we prevent a Democrat trifecta this November, but we will achieve a Republican pro-life trifecta come November of 2026, when Virginia will also elect its Senate. This is what we must do and set about doing from now for the sake of these children, their moms, dads, and families. We will be working with you. We will be praying with you. We will be united with you. Brothers and sisters, it is the Lord himself that gives us this task. You know, the pro-life effort is not a battle that we choose. This is a battle that chooses us. This is a cause not that we fit into our lifestyle. This is a cause that we change our lifestyle so that we can fit into it. It calls us because this is a cause that arises not because some political or religious leader calls us together to be the pro-life movement, but that our very humanity calls us. Our very humanity cries out from the depths. That's why there are so many different pro-life organizations. And that's why we in the leadership of the pro-life movement couldn't stop the movement if we wanted to. Because this is a cry from the depths of our humanity that says, yes, life is better than death. Yes, we will protect our children. Yes, we will rise up and we will preserve that most basic principle of civilization. You can never kill the innocent. Brothers and sisters, let's move forward with confidence. Let's preserve the Commonwealth of Virginia for life. Let's work to elect the very best defenders of life. And let's keep giving witness to the experience of those who know through all too much pain what a wrong road and a dead end abortion is. You know, I always say I believe in the dead end rule. If you ignore the signs that say it's a dead end, you will soon learn by personal experience that it's a dead end. But you who are marching today in Virginia, you do know the signs. You do pay attention to those signs. And you yourself are the living sign. This march is a living sign to all our fellow citizens that when there is that fork in the road between the way of life and the way of death, we choose life. We defend life. God bless you as you march today. Let this march be the symbol of our march to victory, because it's a victory that we not only fight for, it's a victory we already have, because the one who is the author of life brought the power of death to the cross. Death has already been conquered, as we're about to celebrate in just a few weeks. Death has been conquered, Christ is risen, life and immortality have been revealed through his gospel, and therefore we're not just working for victory, we're working from victory. Victory is our starting point. Christ is alive, he is within us, he marches with us, he speaks through us, he works with us to transform this culture of death into the culture of life. And as we do that, as we give witness to him, as we proclaim, celebrate, and serve life, may we ourselves find life eternal in him. May the risen Christ bless you. Greetings again from all of us at Priests for Life. I'm pro-life leader Frank